My name is Kristen Simpson. I turned 33 this year. I started a business during my student days and gradually expanded it. Now I am the president of a company with an annual turnover of $50 million. However, I have not shared this information with my husband. During our marriage, we were unable to have children, and my husband looks down on me, thinking I am infertile. Furthermore, my husband decided to remarry his mistress who became pregnant during our marriage. It's hilarious you're going for infertility treatment. Living a lifetime alone is a joke, he mocked. How can you say such things after having an affair? I retorted. But it's true, you're infertile, no one will have you. He continued to insult me. I'm not bothered by it, I replied. Don't pretend to be strong, he taunted relentlessly. Being ridiculed and looked down upon by my husband was something I had grown accustomed to. However, hearing his sarcastic remarks after our divorce reminded me how annoying he was and reaffirmed my decision to divorce him. I had filed for divorce a few days ago and returned to my parents' home. My husband continues to live in the apartment we shared and told me to take all my belongings since he plans to live there with his fiancée. This led me to visit his house after a long time to pick up my remaining stuff. Today was probably our last conversation, and his unpleasant nature was as evident as ever. My fiancée is coming today, so the infertile woman better pack her things and leave. You being here will make her uncomfortable, he said. What? I used to live here originally. Why should I hurry for someone who came after an affair? We're divorced. And it's shameful for you to say such things, I replied. Once we agreed I would continue living here, you have no reason to stay. Hurry up, he demanded. I was going to leave anyway. Go find a new man to take care of you, he continued. Oh, but that's impossible for an infertile woman like you, he said. How can someone continue to be so spiteful? I sighed, wondering why I ever married him. We met at a cafe near my company where he hit on me, and that's how our romance started. I had been focused on my work since my student days, not immersing myself in romance. Even though I had boyfriends, those relationships ended quickly, leading me to believe that while love can betray, work never does. However, I always hoped to have children and build a family. Many friends and acquaintances approached me with ulterior motives once they learned I was a millionaire president. To avoid this, I told my husband I was a low-paid contract worker to keep my presidency a secret. I even prepared a business card pretending to be a contract worker at a subsidiary I owned, I thought. After you fell for me and pursued me so earnestly, to turn into someone who only spews insults is something else. Well, as you age, reality sets in and feelings change. Of course, I'd choose a cute young girl over an infertile woman, my husband said. My husband and his mistress were colleagues at the same company. Unlike you, a contract worker, she's a permanent employee with a secure future. I'm glad I remarried. Having a stable woman makes things easier for me, he bragged happily. His mistress was a charming girl who seemed very popular, I noted. My husband wanted a divorce soon after his affair, and plans for a new family came to light, and I agreed immediately. He thought I had no money, so there was no discussion of asset division during our divorce. Both he and his mistress admitted to the affair and readily agreed to pay compensation, I recalled. The poor contract worker, lower in status than me, a permanent employee and unable to have children, it's so unfortunate, they said. And now your husband is remarrying a younger woman and having a child with her. We feel so guilty that we'll definitely pay the compensation. Yes, you'll need money for infertility treatments, so we'll pay the compensation, they said. Their acknowledgement of compensation didn't ease the irritation their words caused, I remembered. She was taken aback by the young mistress 8 years their junior, who seemed keen on quitting her job to become a stay-at-home mom as soon as possible, I observed. When I inquired if the mistress planned to continue working, she candidly expressed her dream of becoming a full-time housewife, planning to resign after maternity leave to benefit financially from the company, I noted. But don't you think that's a bit irresponsible towards the company? When you become an employee, isn't it a waste not to take advantage of all the benefits? Plus, plenty of people quit after taking maternity leave. I questioned. You're too serious, Mrs. Simpson. You need to be savvier about navigating life. Being so rigid is probably why your husband left you, she said sarcastically. I could never understand people who don't mind inconveniencing their company for their own benefit. I sighed. Unbeknownst to my husband, he looked down on me until our last day together. I realized, you should get infertility treatment already. But then again, your looks were all you had, and now you're just an old lady. It's all over for you, he mocked. Who are you talking about? I asked. It's obviously you, the infertile woman, he continued to mock. Until I pulled out an envelope and showed him its contents, causing him to panic and scream, I recalled. Inside were 3 documents I had gathered them to reveal to my husband on our last meeting. Each document contained shocking information for him, I remembered. After being ridiculed and learning about his affair and subsequent bragging about remarrying the other woman, I was furious. Having plenty of money and receiving compensation did not satisfy me. Thus, I decided to take my revenge, allowing me to part ways with my husband with a clear conscience. I determined. You ridiculed me for being infertile, so I went for a checkup. The results are inside. You're normal. Yes, so who's the infertile one? Maybe the problem lies with you, huh? I challenged. This result is wrong. We've been trying to have kids, but nothing happened. But it seems like there's nothing wrong with me. Wait, but I have managed to have a child. We weren't even trying that hard, and it happened so quickly, the husband said, puzzled and beginning to worry that he might be the cause of their infertility. He might have started to suspect that the mistress's child wasn't his after all. The fact that we couldn't conceive together, but it happened so quickly with someone else, it seems too good to be true, he pondered, unable to hide his shock. My new wife is lovely, but could it be someone else's child? He wondered. Well, we haven't done a thorough examination to confirm if the child is yours, so don't be too hard on yourself. I attempted to console him. But he was already panicking and called his mistress in a frenzy. I need to talk to you. Come over right now, he insisted. What did she say? I asked. She said she's on her way here, he replied. That's great. If she confirms the child is yours, you can finally be at ease, I said, not hiding my sarcasm. Later, the husband pulled out another document from the envelope. It was a result from a detective agency. What is this? This is me. When was this taken? And look at the date. It's right after we got married. Did you know about the affair from back then? He questioned. In truth, I had been aware of my husband's infidelity for years, even before he confessed to it. Yes, that's why I wasn't surprised when you admitted to cheating. You were already unfaithful during what was supposed to be our happiest time. Why didn't you tell me sooner if you knew? You should have said something, he accused. Keeping it secret made me look like a fool. Why should I be the one to get angry? I overlooked your cheating, so you should be thankful, really. Having me followed by a detective agency right after the wedding shows how bad your character is. You didn't trust me, huh? I'm shocked. I wasn't trusted. It's good we split up. You were cheating, so you betrayed me too. It's the same for both of us, I retorted. When we got married, I was so swept up in the moment that the idea of doing a background check on my husband completely slipped my mind. Without investigating his past, we just went ahead and got married, despite it not being a marriage for money, I confessed. I thought it would be wise to know more about my husband's background, so a few months into our marriage, just to be safe, I decided to have a background check done, I continued. We were newlyweds, very much in love and very affectionate with each other. So I thought, why not just do a background check? However, when I actually did it, I discovered he was having an affair with the mistress. I was surprised because there were no signs of infidelity. I was shocked, of course, but I wasn't devastated. Honestly, I wasn't that attached to my husband, I explained. I married him because he pursued me. I did love my husband because he took care of me and loved me, but my love wasn't so deep that I couldn't let go if he didn't care for me. I wasn't that attached to you, nor was I that upset. I was just amazed that you could cheat on me and then act affectionately towards me, I reflected. Honestly, since work was my priority from the beginning of our marriage, the idea of getting a divorce immediately and dealing with compensation seemed too much of a hassle compared to focusing on my job. So I turned a blind eye to his infidelity and continued our married life as if nothing had happened, I admitted. When I told this to my husband, he said, "But we were still trying to have kids, right? What would you have done if we had a child? Were you planning to raise it together, even knowing I was cheating?" I recounted. "Well, that was the plan. A child is a blessing, and it's not something we can control," I responded, although this was a lie. Although we were trying for a child, especially since my husband wanted one, I had secretly been taking birth control pills after finding out about his affair. I couldn't imagine building a home with a cheating husband. I thought we would eventually separate, and it wouldn't be fair to bring a child into that situation. So I took contraception without telling him. That's why we never had a child. Originally, I wasn't very keen on having children. Even with a babysitter, having a child would mean less time for work, so I was more inclined towards not wanting children, I confessed. However, ever since my husband wanted a child, I went along with it, intending to fulfill his wish by trying for a child. But I felt no obligation to conceive for a husband who betrayed me, I concluded. Amidst this conversation, the mistress arrived, marking our first encounter since discussing compensation. The mistress, evidently popular with men but disliked by women, arrived with her usual annoying demeanor. "Ah, the ex-wife. Long time no see. You're here to take all your things today, right? Thank you so much for that," she said, dripping with condescension for having snatched. "My husband away. Thank you for taking my hand-me-down husband and house," I retorted sarcastically, which seemed to upset her. While we exchanged words, my husband, seeming disinterested in our squabble, turned to the mistress and said, "Hey, I might be infertile. Isn't it strange that you're pregnant with my child?" Laughing, the mistress responded, "What are you talking about? That's impossible. Did the ex-wife put that idea in your head? Marry me and trust me." Wasn't the ex-wife the infertile one? But the ex-wife wasn't infertile. Here are the test results. I'm sorry to bring this up, but we tried hard to have a child. If neither of us was infertile, we should have had a child by now. Yet we didn't, and suddenly, when we weren't even trying, you got pregnant. Doesn't that seem odd? That just means you and I were meant to be, not like with your ex-wife. I don't want to have this pointless discussion. If you doubt me, it'll stress me and the baby. The reason my husband started doubting the mistress wasn't just about potential infertility. "So what's this then?" he demanded, pulling out photos of the mistress being friendly with other coworkers from an envelope. I had the detective agency investigate her, as well after his affair came to light. Actually, the mistress had several male acquaintances within the company, and I managed to obtain photos of her going to hotels with 3 different men besides my husband. Upon seeing these photos, the mistress's complexion turned pale instantly. "What is this?" she exclaimed. "Oh, I had the detective agency investigate you as well when my husband's affair came to light. It's quite sinful how you've managed to charm so many men within just the company. I had these evidences even before you two started talking about remarriage. Every time my husband gushed about his love for you, I couldn't help but laugh inside at how foolish you were to not realize you were being played. You should have told me sooner. If I had known, I wouldn't have considered remarrying her, and I wouldn't have divorced you. If the infertility issue was with me, I would have sought treatment to have children with you." Suddenly realizing the extent of the mistress's deceit, he flip-flopped, suggesting that I would have been a better choice after all. "What are you saying now? The baby is growing inside me, and it's too late for such talks. Those photos are from the past, and since conceiving this child, you're the only one for me. I love you, which is why I want to remarry. And where's the proof this child is mine? It could be any of these men's, right? If you're so sure, show me evidence. All these men are my juniors. If the baby turns out to be one of theirs, I'm not raising it. The child was conceived after a night with you. It has to be yours. We've already introduced each other to our parents. It's too late to back out now. It's not too late to start over if we haven't submitted the marriage registration yet. I need clarity. As they continued to argue heatedly, the mistress then turned her attention to Kristen, blaming her for their dispute. You're bringing up these photos now and causing trouble between us. We've already settled our discussions and paid the compensation. There's no need for you to interfere in our marriage anymore. It's quite pathetic for a discarded woman to still cling on. All you have is your youth, and yet you always resort to calling me old. Huh. I wasn't that attached to my husband, and your remarriage plans didn't hurt me. In fact, had I didn't tell him about your affairs, you would have kept it hidden forever, right? I thought it'd be kinder to have no secrets between spouses. That's not kindness, you've just stirred up trouble. We could have been happy if not for your meddling. Honestly, were you planning to keep this from me the whole time? I can't trust a woman who thinks like that. Let's consider the remarriage off. My husband, evidently shocked by her deceit and wanting to call off the remarriage, was a bit surprised by how the situation escalated. If their relationship could be shaken up by this, it probably wouldn't have lasted anyway. I even paid compensation to you to acknowledge our relationship. If it was going to be called off, I could have just denied the cheating. It's too late to say we're not getting remarried now. I did accept the compensation at that time because both of you agreed to pay immediately, but honestly, I have plenty of money, so I donated all of it. I didn't want to keep any money from you too, so don't act like you did me a favor by paying that trivial amount, I told the mistress. As if you could save up that much on your salary? Don't pretend. A trivial amount? That was almost all of my savings. You're joking about the donation, right? If you were going to do that, you should have said you didn't want the compensation from the start. No way. You're just a contract employee earning less than us. That's definitely a lie. If you really have that much money, why not remarry me and support me? He mocked me further, not believing I had the financial resources. I was actually considering supporting you financially after a few years of marriage. That's why I thought it was foolish of you to divorce me and remarry a young woman who's fond of men. Stop with the lame jokes. Actually, I've been hiding something from you. Take a look inside this envelope, I said, prompting my husband to pull out a photo from the envelope. It was a picture from the board meeting of the group company he worked for. He was stunned. The mistress, too, was shocked upon seeing the photo. Is that woman next to the executive director you? Is it photoshopped? Of course, it wasn't edited. I was sitting in the middle of the photo. The president of your company's parent company is me. Sorry for hiding that, but you're just a contract employee at one of our subsidiaries, and the president of the parent company is a man. Stop lying. I faked my name when I was a student and a female entrepreneur. I was underestimated just for being a woman, so I used a male business name and made sure not to show my face. My father, who was managing other companies, acted as the director and appeared in the media on my behalf. If it was known I was the president, I would attract people interested in my wealth, so I pretended to be a contract employee without money. But I always intended to tell you, and I could afford to support us. I also lied about my parents being deceased. My father is the director, and my mother is living happily at home. Only the board members in this photo knew about me, so it's natural that you, an employee at the subsidiary, wouldn't know about me. Upon hearing the truth, both their faces turned pale. I don't even know if the child is mine, and I want to call off the remarriage. Please cancel the divorce, my husband pleaded with me. After calling me infertile and insulting me, you think you can just cancel the divorce. The papers have already been submitted. It's too late for regrets. You know you were getting into by saying terrible things to me, the president. I said, smiling at them both. The mistress, who had been mocking me as an old lady, suddenly changed her tune. "I'm sorry for acting like I stole your husband. If you wish, I'll return him to you, the president. Please forgive me," she apologized to me. Ignoring her, I said, "As I've been saying, he's my hand-me-down. I don't need him back." "Oh, but since you're expecting, we should announce it to everyone in the company once you're in your safe period," I suggested. Her face contorted even more at the suggestion. "Please don't." "Why? Is there something wrong with letting the company know?" As I smirked and inquired, the mistress remained silent, looking down. I speculated she might still be involved with other men in the company, planning to quietly fade out before her maternity leave. As the president, I felt it was my duty to disclose this situation for the sake of our company's valued employees who were being deceived by the mistress. Later, I went to the company and revealed that I was a woman. I exposed everything about my husband's affair, his new child with the mistress, and our divorce. There were whispers betraying the president for an affair. Hello. Everyone started to resent my husband, who faced backlash from all sides. Rumors spread that he had betrayed the president, and everyone looked down on him. He had to work under everyone's contempt. Turns out the mistress was juggling 8 relationships within the company, all of which were exposed at once. She, including my husband, faced the wrath of all 8 men. The mistress had received expensive gifts and jewelry from various boyfriends, all under the pretense of marriage. When the truth of her multiple relationships came out, all her boyfriends threatened to sue her. Despite the chaos, she managed to wriggle out of the situation, claiming ignorance about the aita relationships and insisting the gifts were hers to keep. My father also heard the rumors, leading to the mistress being forced into an early retirement. My husband was transferred to our subsidiary in Indonesia, a location nobody wanted due to its remoteness. The mistress, cut off by their families for bringing shame, followed my husband to Indonesia to raise their child together. Both parents disowned them for the disgrace of bearing a child out of wedlock and potentially with unknown paternity. Stranded without family support, they faced the challenges of childbirth and parenting in a foreign land. The husband harbored doubts about the child's paternity but was told by the mistress that DNA testing wasn't available in Indonesia, avoiding confirmation of the child's lineage. Despite not wanting to remarry, my husband was coerced by the mistress's insistence on their marriage and the desire for his child, leading to a reluctant union. The mistress claimed my husband was her true choice out of the 8, but her primary goal was to secure a comfortable life as a housewife, choosing the highest-ranking husband available. Meanwhile, the revelation of my identity as a female entrepreneur became a media sensation, causing our company's stock to soar as I navigated through these busy times.